This is the Neo Geo Pocket Color, a beautiful games console which has been almost entirely forgotten about. Probably because not many people bought it in the first place, but not by retro modding, since they stock all of the parts necessary to make the ultimate Neo Geo Pocket Color, so we can finally experience this beautiful device in all of its glory, and actually see the screen. There's a few things we're going to need. The first is this IPS LCD screen by RetroPixel. This comes with all of the parts necessary to upgrade the old screen to fit in today's modern world. Retromodding also sell these high quality replacement shells. I have gone for the white one, which will look really cool with these mint replacement buttons. It's gonna give off Megaduck vibes. Let's start taking the device apart, and oh boy, is this fun. There's several Phillips screws on the back, including 2 in the battery compartment. Then there's more around the edges of the shell, which, annoyingly, are at the exact depth for my screwdriver not to reach them. But luckily, I have extremely strong fingers. Well, that is just not going to work. Well, at this point, I felt like giving up, until I came up with the ingenious idea of using a 4mm hex bit. This worked perfectly. Another victory for the nerds. So let's just undo the final screw. What? What's happening? Is this one deeper? What the deuce? Is that one single tri-wing bit? What were they smoking? Anyway, with that little prick removed, we can lift off the back of the shell. My unit only seemed to have one Phillips screw holding the motherboard down, so I'll remove that. Then we can pry off the joystick cap, and be really careful here, it could fly off in any direction and take your eye out. Or just fall off. Then we can remove the board. Oh no, we can't. The speaker wires are 1 centimeter long, and the speaker is clipped into the front shell. We can then finally unlatch the screen's ribbon cable. Then we can use some isopropyl alcohol to clean up all the contacts on the board so that it works well for the future. And we can give this little speaker a clean. Not that it deserves it after its behaviour earlier. Then we can grab the new shell. It came with absolutely everything inside. A glass replacement lens, buttons, membranes, battery contacts, stickers, and even screws. Let's focus on the front shell piece for now. We need to trim down the plastic to fit the new screen inside. For this, I'll be using my flush cutters. After all the plastic is gone, I can stick this little double-sided sticker down. This holds the screen in place, and you can adjust the position on the display later in the settings. After that, I'll stick down the screen lens and remove the film on the LCD screen and place that in as well. Now, I just could not work out what to do with this sticker. Oh! You stick the insulation film on the metal surface on the back of the screen. That makes sense. Phew. Then we can pop this little ribbon cable into the connector and connect the screen's driver board. And then we can sit the new buttons and membranes in place. Then I can connect the screen to the driver board and attach the little touch sensors to the top of the shell. Now, if you wanted, you can just screw the motherboard down and reassemble it. But without soldering in the wires, you won't be able to change the settings of the screen, which might be fine for people who don't solder, but obviously we've got to do this properly. There's 4 wires we need to solder. I'll start by tinning up the pads and attaching each wire. Each one is labelled, so this makes it very straightforward. Then I can add some flux and solder to these test points on the motherboard next to the CPU. The A and B test point are labelled, so that's fairly self-explanatory. Solder the A wire to the B point and the B wire to the negative battery terminal. I think that's right, is it? The select wire goes to the pad under the A test point. Then we can put the board in and close up the front portion of the unit. The battery wire goes to this point on the motherboard. Now, you could end it there, but I'm going to add a rechargeable battery. This is made and sold by Retro Modding, and is actually for the Game Boy Advance, but will work perfectly with a little modification. The battery terminals on the Neo Geo are on the opposite side to the Game Boy, so we'll just need to remove the battery contacts and solder wires directly to the rechargeable board. This is a little bit fiddly, but it is very doable. Once the wires are in place, it should look like this. The next thing I'll need to do is trim down the inside of the battery compartment to make room for the battery. I just have to swap over this cartridge shield from the old shell and I can put the back piece down and screw it into place. Then I'll strip and tin the new wires and solder them to the battery board. And with all of that, the remaining screws can go back in and we're done. This mod turned out so epic. I am so happy with how this turned out. It looks absolutely incredible. Seriously, this is probably one of my favorite devices. I mean, it just is such a lovely thing to play. The beautiful, clicky, micro-switched joystick makes this thing just so unique and fun, especially because of the plethora of fighting games available on the Neo Geo Pocket Color and Neo Geo Pocket. This thing is backwards compatible, so you can play the black and white games. And that is quite nice, because now, just by touching the top of the screen where that touch sensor is, you can change the color of the display, which means you can play your black and white games and make them look really unique and cool. And then on the other side, you've got the brightness control as well. And in order to access further parts of the settings, you hold the select button and you press A and B. That's going to pop up a little menu at the bottom, and that's going to allow you to change things like the brightness from the actual settings. And then you can also change the position of the display, and you have the option to add a pixel effect on the screen, which is going to make it look like an original pixel display. As well as that, you've got the battery display, which is actually really handy, especially having fitted the rechargeable battery. That is going to allow me to see how much battery is left before it needs charging. So this is now really the ultimate Neo Geo Pocket Color. There's one other thing that we can use, which is going to make it even better, and that is the Flash Master, which is something that allows you to play ROMs on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, and this is quite expensive. To be honest with you, this entire thing is expensive. We need to talk about price. The shell is nearly $40 alone. Obviously, the Neo Geo Pocket Color is not that desirable of a console, so they don't make those things in large quantities. The screen is about $60. The buttons are pretty okay at $5. The battery mod is about $50. So this thing comes in at over $200 if you want the whole package, which is pretty crazy, especially considering the analog Pocket is not that much more expensive and you can play those Neo Geo games on the Pocket. I mean, there's no denying that this is absolutely the best form factor of any original handheld console ever made. It's chunky, it's got a lovely joystick, the screen is nice and big, and now with that screen mod in place, it just looks absolutely exceptional. I am so pleased with how this turned out. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye!